After an entire lifetime of being abused and being blamed for everything that goes wrong in the dysfunctional family, the scapegoat finally says no more and walks away. So, what happens after the scapegoat walks away from the abuse? This has been documented by many. The scapegoat begins their journey of healing, self-discovery, and begins experiencing the best life they've ever known. A life free of abuse. They've established boundaries, asserted themselves when necessary, and created a family of choice where respect is a priority above all else. But what we don't know is what happens to the abusers that the scapegoat left behind. What happens to the dynamic of the dysfunctional narcissistic family when the appointed family trash can walks away? There is a huge gaping hole left in the family that creates a huge disturbance for everybody else. What happens after the scapegoat walks away has not been well documented, and the rest of this is only speculation. When the scapegoat says no more and walks away from the abuse, the abusers are left with their world in complete disorder, as if a 9.8 earthquake just hit and there is nothing but destruction for miles. Everything is destroyed because the truth came out. The appointed family trash can walked away, so the abusers have nowhere to throw their garbage away. They have to deal with the destruction one way or another and make some changes whether they want to or not. They are forced to deal with the aftermath of the earthquake, and the problems in the family become much harder to deny. Sure, they can continue to blame it on the scapegoat, but when something new happens and the scapegoat is nowhere to be found, it gets harder and harder to blame them. This is usually when a new scapegoat gets appointed. Sometimes, even the enabler becomes the scapegoat. This new scapegoat now has all the blame for anything that goes wrong put upon them. And because they've been shielded until now, they don't know how to handle all this additional abuse. Sometimes this new scapegoat begins to wake up to the truth of the family and seeks therapy or distances themselves for sanity's sake. Sometimes the new scapegoat reaches out to the old scapegoat to convince them to return to the narcissistic family, just so they can be spared. To the narcissistic family, no one or nothing is above the family unit. The family must stay together no matter how miserable everyone is. Each family member must stay loyal, uphold their role, and keep pretending that everything is just perfect and that they are all lucky to have each other. But with the scapegoat gone, that makes it much harder to carry on these lies. Sometimes the narcissistic family may begin to turn on each other, and all the abuse that was reserved for the scapegoat is now being evenly distributed through the family. This may make the narcissistic family begin to self-destruct. The relationships that remain in the family may have extra pressure applied on them, which may lead to more volatile interactions, and sometimes even it may result into distancing and strained relationships between the remaining family members. Alternatively, the scapegoat's absence may also result in the family members uniting in their hatred for the scapegoat, bringing them closer together. Lots of gossiping and trash talking about the scapegoat may take place, but this behavior will shock some remaining family members as to how quickly the family collectively turned on the scapegoat that they simultaneously claim to love. This will leave the awakening family member to wonder if the people that claim to love them speak so horribly about them behind their back, which may create distancing, severe trust issues, and strained relationships between the remaining family members. Although the narcissistic family may never admit out loud to the true issues in the family, deep down inside, they can't sweep the scapegoat's absence under the rug. The deafening silence of the scapegoat's absence is way too intense not to make the narcissistic family face this fact every single day. They will try to numb the pain out and forget about the scapegoat and go on with their daily lives. But they will especially be reminded that the scapegoat is no longer there on holidays, birthdays, and special occasions. The narcissist may have personality disorders, but even they are not brain dead enough not to be severely affected by the absence of the scapegoat. I believe it changes them, and it changes their world. It may or may not be for the better, but the scapegoat has walked away, and everyone was shocked by the deafening sounds of their footsteps. As the scapegoat, you may have always felt like you had no rights in the family, like you had no voice and were not allowed to speak. You were told not to feel your very normal feelings, and you were not allowed to speak your truth. But by walking away from the abuse and going no contact with your narcissistic abusers, your voice was finally heard by them, loud and clear. Through your silence, they all have finally heard the words you've been trying to speak for so long. This abuse is not okay. I will not take your abuse any longer. I have had enough. No more. Thanks for listening.